Thank you, and a very good afternoon to all you ladies and gentlemen. I know it's the last session before lunch, but let's try and keep it short. I know uh, I thought we had 40 minutes, and I can see the timer is counting down from 25 minutes. So could we reset it, or do you want us to reduce the time to crunch it? Is it? Okay, sure. Good. So then there goes my opening remarks, which were actually about the fact that we're only focusing on what's hot in retail. We're not going to talk about what's not in retail. There's a lot which has already been mentioned about the various technologies, changes, consumer behaviors, how retailers are to adapt to all these changes. So what we have here is a group of retailers from different categories. We also have a FMCG veteran who has spent some time in retail before that. From Britannia, we have Rajneet Kohli. So we're trying to focus on a few areas that we think make a difference as far as retailers' lives and consumer companies' lives today go. What seems to be trending in the market. The first of this is in terms of technology. The second is in terms of the availability of data about your consumers, customers, wherever they are. The third is in terms of the ease of being able to supply goods to consumers, and of course, the similar ease for them to be able to return it to you. The fourth is in terms of payments and the various kinds of payment modes which are available in this country and the difference that it has made in the way consumers are able to transact with you. So these are four key things that we are looking at. Let me do the first question with Rajneet. Rajneet, of course, is the MD, ED, and CEO of Britannia. What I'd like to ask you, Rajneet, is you wear two hats. Your previous hat was at Domino's, and your current hat is with an FMCG company. And I'm sure, as an FMCG company, what you've seen are changes in the way your consumers are consuming media. Traditionally, if you had a print plan, a television plan, you had a radio plan, and if you had little money to spare, you put it on outdoor. That made your overall media plan. But today, you have physical media, you have digital media, you have social media within digital media, and several such ways in which you can communicate. Even the best program in India, which is IPL finals, doesn't get to double-digit TPRs today. So when you think about it from a consumer marketeer's perspective, how do you actually look at addressing this issue of being able to connect and communicate your message to your consumers?
Thank you. Am I audible? Thanks. And thank you, Vijay, for having me here. Absolute pleasure to be back at the Retail Forum. And at the heart, I'm still a retailer. From the age of 14, my father ran a retail shop in Chandigarh, paint shop. So from the age of 14, as a son, you would be, asked to sit on the retail shop. So it's in my blood, I would say so. And, I've had a journey of running 1,700 stores with Domino's. So some bit of experience there. Just for people who not from FMCG, Britannia is 100 years young company. I don't call it an old company because we keep reinventing ourselves every decade. Biscuits largely, but cake, rusk, dairy, bread. We're in 90 odd countries, 95 odd plants, 55 plus depots, and we manage 67 retailers. So it's the other side now. I manage retailers now, and we do 20 billion packs per annum, which is almost giving one pack of Britannia every month to every Indian. So having said that, you absolutely said, how do you kind of change, and bring in digital thinking in terms of a company which is, 100 years there. So why would, I be even here for a retail forum on a digital side? The answer lies in that I think I picked up a lot of learnings when I was running Domino's there in terms of digital and how that world is changing. I'll give you some examples of how we're using at Britannia digital and how the world is changing from the media point of view. Looking at hyper personalization now. Just an example, I talked about, we have a brand called Bourbon biscuits. If you know about bourbon biscuits, launched in 1955. And why would that be even relevant now? And a lot of us are not born, even me, by the way. in 1955. Why would it be even relevant now? So we launched a campaign last year called Bourbon Football Fever, wherein we got augmented reality, wherein you could scan your QR code on the biscuit and you could, as friends, play together on one platform and really enjoy the football game together, playing together against each other. So that's one example of how you can use a different kind of a way, not just media in terms of print, digital, but actually using your own packs, using a QR code and getting them immersive and interacting with them. The other one is NutriChoice. We had NutriChoice, diabetic-friendly kind of a biscuit, where on a World Diabetics Day, we kind of launched a campaign which is mix of print, media, and the digital as well. So a lot of technologies coming together. You had a print ad which had a QR code. You could scan that, and we had Ryan Fernando, who's a famous dietitian, would give you a personalized plan using WhatsApp chat, and give you a personalized diet plan. And then once you kind of subscribe that, after a week using augmented reality, he would create a personalized video speaking to you, Bijou, saying, hey, Bijou, have you been following this and doing this kind of work or not? So that's another example of how you can use technology and merge that. Another example, and a lot of us, it's all about social listening, and we are in retail here, where we picked up that people in South, and I'm from Chandigarh, so glucose, and we know all those, but South, if somebody is there, milk bikkies. It's a milk-based biscuits, 1,300 crores kind of a franchise, cult following, and it's an old, people say it's a fuddy-duddy, young generation will not kind of interact with, milk bikkies there. So we customized using the words, nicknames. We all have nicknames. I don't know what yours was there, but in our household, you'll be called by your nicknames, right? And you customize your biscuit replacing milk bikkies with the names in Tamil in each of the packs that we sold. So, for example, there was a word called Nadar, which means like another, the Muni who would go and spread words there. So Peter, which means person who uses a lot of English. So that enabled the parents to actually interact with the child there. And the last one, and I'm not going to take too long, is a very recent campaign we've done. We got a tie-up with the Greek company called Chipita Foods. It does croissant in India. But I don't know how people would pronounce croissant. So I don't know whether I'm pronouncing it right or not. So we just rolled out a very interesting campaign which says you'll give 3 lakh rupees for 1 day stipend if you could pronounce croissant right. And we got 50 million impressions, worth more than 2.6 crores of media, by using just this campaign. How much did we spend? I just realized 3 lakh. That's what I'm giving. So I'm just sharing an example of saying how, as retailers as well, we can use different means of getting consumer excited. So we have all kind of entries with croissant being sent, and by the way, the actual French pronunciation of the croissant that I used to call is called croissant. It's K-W-A-N, croissant. So all I want to put across here is, people we heard just now has called FOMO, which is fear of missing out. I have FOBO, which is fear of being obsolete. So I want to come here back again and learn from all of you and know what's really happening and how digitally we can transform our business.
Sure.
Thanks,
Raj, and that is wonderful. I think the lesson in all of that is that there is a requirement to be innovative in the way you're going to be using media. There are different options which are available, but don't follow the conventional method. Use these media, do it innovatively so that you're able to create great bang for the buck. The next point I wanted to kind of bring about is the fact that, as countries evolve and as consumers evolve and consumers get richer, what you do discover is that newer consumption categories emerge. And these newer consumption categories are reflective of the way the consumer takes to something because of the change in their own lifestyle or in their aspirations. One of the areas that we have seen is beauty. And in India today, we have a whole host of D2C beauty brands. And we have 2 people here for whom beauty is a very significant part of the business. One is Kavi from Shoppers Stop, and the other is Rajiv from Kaya. Kavi is the principal beauty products retailer in India with a whole host of international brands, and now has morphed into also creating, niche, what you might define as retail formats in order to be able to cater to this specific need. On the other hand, with Rajiv and Kaya, he started from services with a little bit of product. So what I'm going to just basically pose to them is, how do you kind of understand that a category is evolving enough for you to be able to make an investment in terms of how you want to address the customer? And the third and the most important part is, how do you actually use technology in a category like beauty, which is pretty complex? So Kavi, the first question is to you.
Thanks, Bijou. Yes, so I think the journey of shoppers and the investment of shoppers with beauty has been a long one. So we have been working with Elka brands, Estee Lauder brands for what, 15 years now. The stores which you see of MAC or Bobby Brown are all done by us. I think we hold a position of India's largest and the most premium beauty retailer, and that's something which obviously over the years we have done. At some point of time, we also realized when we looked at the data that the consumption of this category is increasing at a breakthrough speed, and that's when we decided to open SS Beauty stores, which is what Bijou spoke about, opening flagship, very, very premium stores. I think there are two parts of it. One obviously is the product, but no longer the consumer is coming and interacting with you basis the product. It's also about the services. So while we started with the product, we're very, very happy to share that we do close to 1 million makeovers every year. The customers come to our stores, she gets a free makeover done. The conversion of that particular customer is close to 50%. So what we are doing is we are using a category to build service. And I'm saying that not only in beauty, but across categories, you will find that no longer the retailers will have a position of strength if you are only selling the product, because there will always be somebody who will come and provide more product, and that's especially true for a departmental store format like us. So the idea is how we can use technology to get the product, technology to personalize that particular communication. For example, if you buy a product from us, say a lipstick from us, after every 45 days, there's a campaign which we run by which we'll say, hey, you bought this MAC lipstick from us, come back and shop. So personalization, the use of technology, which becomes an important way to communicate to the customers. I think other thing which we are doing is there are a lot of AI-driven tools. So we have got things like a fragrance finder. So depending upon the mood and the personality, we will tell you which is the fragrance you can choose. So I think it's a mixture of working on a product category for a long enough, hitting that inflection point where you start seeing that the category starts over-delivering for you vis-a-vis rest of your things, then using service to ensure that that customer comes and sticks around with you. Because I think it's very important that, and I think this is true for each one of us, for all the categories we work in, we cannot hold the customer only by product. It has to be a product and a service coming together. And I think that's the heart and that's the secret sauce by which we are building the beauty category. We opened our India's largest beauty store a month back. It's doing outstanding numbers. It's in Quest Mall. I would request a few of you or whoever can go and see that. It's an amazing beauty experience. And I think that's the way we are looking at building the whole category. And I'm sure Rajiv will have his point of view because he comes from the service to product. Our journey is product to service.
Rajiv, if you can add to it, from services to products and services and technology.
No, I think there has been a huge amount of. There's been a huge amount of change.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there's been a huge amount of change in the way consumers consume data information, and I think the major facilitating factor has been COVID, incidentally. And I think the beauty has always been part of the lifestyle of people, largely women in India. But I think COVID's actually made internet provide that level of accessibility to information about beauty. So at some point, because I've been part of the product businesses in India as well, I think people largely looked at products from a care perspective. There was no cure component in the entire segment. So anything is got a simple care philosophy of a 400, 500 rupee product. Services were way more expensive. Services were accessible to a very, very small part of the audience in India. So expert services are even beyond that because our kind of business actually drives in providing these services through doctors and dermatologists. That was almost unheard of long time ago. if you now see the, like complete morph in the last 2 to 3 years, there are millions of influencers who are actually providing access to information and data about beauty. People have started getting into peer-to-peer confirmation and information about beauty. So all the information that is coming to people is about people who are like the girl next door or the guy next door. But in addition to that, one big change you may have seen is that even doctors have become influencers. We call them skinfluencers. And they are also doing the same kind of social media messaging to be able to get the client and give them information, at the same time attract them to the businesses that companies like us offer. Now, if I were to take this one step ahead into customer journey, the customer, once they come inside the clinic, also expectation of technology has actually increased, okay? Because they are saying the fact that, okay, you know what? Internet companies offer a lot of technology. What do you really offer? Because otherwise it's only products and services. So the use of AI in consulting is going to really leapfrog going forward. In a lot of things like, say, for example, facial analysis and being able to provide the real root cause of the problem for the customer, the real problems that the customer faces, has to be visually seen by a customer. I'll give you a little higher color to that, is that doctors in the past were largely condescending in terms of the knowledge of the subject, because largely customers were just listening to what the doctor has to say, they prescribe some solutions, we take the solutions. Now we are able to interact with a tablet, with an AI-based system, where we are able to show the concern or the problem that the customer really has on a screen. And whatever be the core problem, there is also recommended solutions for the doctor. The doctor may provide her own color to that solution, but that's there. That's one part of it. Secondly, there are a certain amount of pre-post images that can be created, which creates a level of authenticity about what will happen if I take those services. And by the way, to complement all of this, along with services, there are also products available, so you can do your own DIY sitting at home. So I think what's happened is the fact that I think the services, from being a very niche segment, is now starting to become a more democratic segment, and internet has really helped that, technology has really helped that. And I was just saying, funnily enough, 20% of our business now comes through EMIs, which means people are really willing to invest on themselves large value of money by actually going to the bank, borrow money, and actually provide the services to them, about 20%, which means youngsters are also coming into the play today, and not just middle-aged consumers who are looking for anti-aging solutions. So
Thanks, Rajiv. We also have on the panel Yanira. Yanira is the country sales manager for H&M. And she comes to India from Sweden, spent the last 4 years in India. Yanira, in India, we always pride ourselves on the fact that we have a very young consumer base. We also pride ourselves on the fact that there is a growing, let's say, preference for fast fashion, of course, accompanied by a lot of low value. So when you look at the consumer, look at the product, look at the location, stores, etc., what you will, of course, generate is, terabytes of data, which is across all of this intersection. How do you use this data to, one, improve your own business in terms of consumer insights? And the second is to also empower the people in the stores about how they can serve the customer better.
Thank you very much. I hope that everyone can hear me. I am struggling. I don't know if everyone, but I try to be as clear as I can. And I know we have little time, and there is still a couple of colleagues that need to participate. I am not super sure that I understand your question, but let me just answer and then see if I can elaborate a little bit more. Yes, data is power, right? And what we need to make sure is that we are using it correctly. What we have learned a lot through the customer behavior, through digital as well as through offline in physical stores, is what they are looking for. And then, of course, we see it around social media and in different websites, streaming. what we are trying to do is to be as relevant as we are able to, and we need to work on it because the trends are coming super fast, and the behaviors and the desire of customers are changing a lot. And this presents a very big opportunity, but also a very big challenge to be relevant and to give the experiences that the customers are wishing for and expecting from us, and then also for us to be fast and catch up with those trends and desires that they have or experiences. Thank you very much for mentioning this about our staff, because as I told you earlier, staff for me is probably one of the most important components of what we have as a business. Our colleague before has mentioned it. If we have happy staff, they are going to make happy customers. And I think many times we forget that. We think about the products that we offer, but also we fail to secure that our staff are understanding what we're supposed to be doing, and then also developing them and giving them training, and then also giving them the tools and the right data information so then they are able to support consumers. I hope that I have answered a little bit.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. Paul, next question to you. Paul's the head of the convenience business with GOBP Mobility Solutions. In the case of Paul, what he's actually building out is a whole a chain of convenience stores. And I'll leave Paul to try and explain to us as to how do they see an opportunity in fuel retailing for convenience stores, because India is anyway a country of shopkeepers.
Okay, thanks a lot. I think I'll go back to your original statement of the session, which was around what's hot in retail. And for us, I think what's really changing is that traditional retailers, the lines are being blurred around what the products and services they provide are. And to be successful in the future, you need to really understand your customer, understand how they shop, how they live, how they work, and then look at what are the opportunities to add in products and services. So we are a traditional fuel retailer, and it's a commodity product that people don't really like buying, and therefore it's a very transactional activity. So what can we do to make people's lives easier, to look at what we can provide differently? And that's the opportunity around convenience. So India has the second biggest road network in the world. The amount of roads being built, the amount of cars, two-wheelers on the road means that there is an opportunity to meet more of the needs of the customers as they have less and less time. So for us, we've created a food offer, a coffee offer, but it's very difficult. How do you take 80,000 fuel stations that don't have a shop and convince the customer to come into your shop, and that you have a great tasting coffee, you have a product that is as good as anyone else? And that's some of the challenge that we have. But our coffee shops on the highways have comfortable seating, we have free Wi-Fi, we have music, we have a barista serve coffee, we have great staff, and that's an experience that you're not normally expected. With electric vehicles coming in now, it takes 30, 40 minutes to charge your vehicle. So that's another opportunity for us to capture more of that customer's wallet whilst they're actually waiting. And that'll make their lives easier, because the more services you can have, the better. So I'll go back to what I said at the beginning around blurring lines. But why can't you in the future get all of your banking needs, your laundry done, your food needs, your shopping needs? Why can't all of those happen whilst your vehicle is being charged? So.
Sure. Thanks, Paul. So I think the lesson from all of that is retail is not just offline and online. Retail is actually wherever the customer is. So if there is an opportunity in airports, if there's an opportunity in railway stations, in metro stations, at gas stations, then that's the place where you should be, because you get a chance to be able to interact with the customer. And then, of course, we have Vineet, who's been a veteran of the fashion retail industry in India, the head of Bestseller in India. So, Vineet, if you were to think about, what you started with 15, 18 years back in terms of the way stores were designed and what service they provided, versus if you look at the stores today, and the way they are currently positioned for the customer. How have you seen the kind of differences from the store of the past to the store of today?
Thank you. I didn't know I was a veteran, but I'll try to answer that question with whatever limited experience I have. I think, Bijou, in the clear sense, nothing much has changed. Service was important 15 years back. Service is important today also. Indian consumer is a customer that loves acknowledgements, needs service, needs to be helped. Whether they want you to be part of the decision making, that does not matter. That used to matter a few years back. Today, they are more independent to take decisions, but service has not changed. The expectation of service has changed. What kind of service you need. Today, they need more assistance in trials. They need assistance in case of styling that better. But few years back, service was even pulling the garments and handing it over to you. So I think that has become self-service, but service has not changed. But India is a very large country, so treating the whole country with one thought process of service does not work. What works in metro is very different to a smaller town. A metro customer still wants to be left alone, and when need be available for a size or a trial. But in a small town today, they still want to be acknowledged because, especially for brands like us, which are international, which are still quite aspirational, the consumer set is very limited. So this customer is actually looking for, first thing is acknowledgement. You are acknowledging me that I am a customer for you. And I think that is a very large aspect, which is very different to any part of the world. So any international brand that steps in needs to relook at the model of what service is in this part. Also, it changes on a region basis. So I think if you go to Punjab, the kind of service you want, and I think we learned it the hard way. I've been very stubborn that we need English-speaking staff everywhere. Then we learned in Gujarat that it doesn't work. You need people who can speak in Gujarati, and okay, English is important, but Gujarati is much more important. Same is in Punjab, and the same is in maybe Andhra, Tamil. So I think it's a very wide country. It's very difficult to set one parameter, but the only thing that is still consistent is we need service. You cannot have, I know a lot of people are trying to do this self-checkouts, all good things to have. Is there a real ROI? Is there a real use case of it? And I think that is currently not there. But I think a lot more things that will change in the future, I think, is going to be how can we provide information, product information to customer. Because the consumer journey has become digital, as it says. So in the digital environment, they're getting all data. But in the physical environment, is our staff able to give the entire data of how the product is, what can you pair it up? So I think that's going to change. And I think that's the next level of service which retailers like us will have to figure out. I think Kaya does it very beautifully because they have a lot of data which they can provide. But they can also train because the retention level in their businesses are very different to ours. But I think it's a big ask for all retailers, and we need to continuously do that much more while we improve our product, our store look, feel, but service is a given in this country. And I think next 10 years also, I don't see it much changing.
Lovely. Thanks, Vineet. Thank you very much. I know I'm getting some signals on the side saying time's up, so it's unfortunate, but we have a very good panel here. We could have gone on longer, but in view of the fact that we have to be able to close this session, thank you very much,
Thank you,
panelists, for being able to share so generously of your own knowledge and being able to cover different aspects of what is hot in retail. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.